Manchester United just completed the second worst season in its Premier League history. They appear miles and miles behind Arsenal and Manchester City at the very least. They are stuck with the coach they wanted to get rid of late last season. They have an expensive, injury-prone and underachieving squad. United needs a proper squad overhaul, but their summer transfer business has had mixed results so far. They need to do more, and I'm going to tell you what exactly they need to do in this video. First, let's look at the incoming and outgoing transfers completed by Man United so far in the summer. They have beaten Real Madrid to one of the hottest commodities on the market, the promising centre-back Leny Yoro. Admittedly, United did that by overpaying for Yoro, who is now out with an injury for 3 months. They have also bolstered their attacking options by buying Joshua Zirkzee for 42 million euros and bringing back Jadon Sancho for another chance to prove himself at Old Trafford. United did well to sell Greenwood for 26 million euros, along with offloading high earners Varane and Martial. And this is their current squad depth as a result. Several major problems here. United's defense is extremely injury prone. They suffered a lot from this last season. At one point, Ten Hag was forced to play Casemiro at centre-back as a result. Yoro, Maguire, Lindelof and Evans are already injured at this moment. Shaw missed most of the last season, Malacia, all of it. Ideally, United needs to offload a couple of less used defenders like Lindelof and Evans and purchase another centre-back and another full-back. United's midfield is not bad. They have one of the best attacking midfielders in the game in Bruno Fernandes and a great young central defender in Kobbie Mainoo. I think they're locks as starters and there's a decent depth behind them. But the number 6 position remains a problem. Casemiro is still a good rotation option, but he's past his prime. This team needs a new starting defensive midfielder. Man United is at its deepest in attack. I think this is where they also have the best quality in this squad. I'm a big fan of Rasmus Højlund and believe that he has all the tools to succeed as a star striker in the Premier League. With Joshua Zirkzee arriving, now United also has a player who can start as a second striker behind Højlund. If Ten Hag can find a way to accommodate both Zirkzee and Fernandes, who may be operating in the same spaces, this will give their attack more diversity of options. United's left wing does not need any additions either. They have Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho, who are all starting 11 caliber players at their best. But their right wing options are underwhelming. Antony still has Ten Hag's trust, but does he really deserve to be a starter after a disastrous season he just had? Sancho can play on the right too, but this is not his natural position, and I doubt that after their problems last season, Ten Hag will be keen to start him right off the bat. The one thing I cannot help but notice when looking at Manchester United's depth is that there are many good players, but very few are actually elite. Bruno Fernandes? Sure. Højlund, Mainoo and Garnacho? Perhaps one day, even maybe next season, but they're not there yet. Rashford, even if he was ever elite, he's not there anymore. Casemiro was an elite number 6 when he was at Madrid, but not anymore. So just Fernandes then. Ideally, Manchester United needs one centre-back, one full-back, one defensive midfielder and a right winger at an elite or close to elite levels to compete for top 4 in the Premier League. The problem is that elite players do not grow on trees and they are very expensive. Bayern's Matthijs de Ligt is the centre-back most heavily linked to United. After a very promising start to his career in Ajax, he has so far failed to reach the peak of his potential either in Juventus or Bayern. He lost his starting place in Munich last year and a change of scenery would be a welcome development for him. De Ligt is big and powerful, decent in the air, he is a good ball-playing defender and tough to beat in duels, but he is also quite slow, making him vulnerable in transitions. Most importantly, he has failed to take that crucial next step to truly reach the elite level in the past 4 seasons. Is he the answer to United's defensive woes? Ten Hag certainly thinks so. The Athletic's David Ornstein has reported that United has made a 70 million euros double offer for De Ligt and another former Ten Hag player, right-back Noussair Mazraoui. The Moroccan international is much better in attack than Wan-Bissaka and is quite good defensively as well. At worst, he's a better backup to Dalot. At best, he's an upgrade who can also play on the left. So even though there is a lot of skepticism regarding Man United bringing former Ten Hag players after failed or at best mixed seasons by Onana, Antony and Amrabat, on paper, Mazraoui makes sense for United. The only thing working against him is that, wait for it, he is injury prone too. Initially, Jared Braithwaite was United's preferred centre-back option, but ultimately they refused to pay £70 million for him, instead shifting their focus on other defenders. In previous transfer windows, other teams dealt with Man United under the assumption that they're going to pay whatever is demanded from them. Hence £81 million for Antony, £80 million for Maguire, £70 million for Casemiro, £52 million for Fred, and many other extremely overpriced transfers. The new regime of Sir Jim Ratcliffe is trying to change this dubious policy, and rightly so. They refuse to meet PSG's excessive demands for defensive midfielder Ugarte and have focused on other ball-winning, play-destroying midfielders instead. 4 number 6s heavily linked with United are Monaco's Fofana, Burnley's Berge, Palmeiras' Rios, and surprisingly Sofyan Amrabat once again. The best in this group and most suitable for United's needs is Youssouf Fofana. He was a rock for Monaco last year. Fofana is a strong defensive player, but is also very good in progressing the ball forward through passing and carrying. The French international is in the last year of his contract and would definitely cost way less than Ugarte. In attack, the only name United is persistently linked with is Ivan Toney. Toney is a very good striker and his asking price has reportedly dropped to £50 million. But does United really need another striker for £50 million?
In this economy?
Their main weakness in attack is at right wing, but instead of looking for a new right winger, United is reportedly exploring options to offload both of their current right wingers, Antony and Sancho, to balance their books and fund new transfers. In both cases, United will be selling very low because the stock of these players is extremely low at this point, particularly Antony's. United is reportedly ready to accept bids for £25 million for him only 2 years after buying him for over £80 million. There are rumors of offers from Saudi Arabia. There are also reports about Paris being interested in Sancho. Sure, he struggled in United last year, but he was a bit better for Dortmund. Sancho is obviously very talented. United should either hold on to him and give him another chance to succeed, but if they still decide to sell him, they just have to buy another right winger. Unfortunately for United fans, they are currently not linked with anyone in that position. So United is looking to sell too, and that makes sense because they have a deep squad and they could let a few players go. Apart from Antony and Sancho, there are reports that Manchester United is ready to part ways with Scott McTominay for a right price. McTominay is a useful player. He scored 7 goals as a midfielder last year and Ten Hag likes him. United is ready to sell McTominay for £30 million. They have reportedly already rejected the Fulham bid of £20 million, which means that United is ready to keep the Scotland international and will sell him only for a right price. The INEOS regime is also looking for avenues to get out of Casemiro's contract, but the Brazilian's wages and relative decline make him a difficult player to sell. There are some rumblings about interest from Saudi Arabia, but nothing concrete. Casemiro will most likely stay. United is also reportedly looking to sell both or one of Lindelof and Maguire. The Swede is easier to sell as a cheaper option who has just 1 year remaining on his contract. Media talks about interest from Inter, Fenerbahce and of course several Saudi clubs. Harry Maguire's situation is more difficult. He does not want to leave and there are not really many teams interested in him either. The second most expensive defender of the Premier League history is therefore likely to stay. So to round up, Manchester United has started moving in the right direction this summer. They are focusing on younger players. Sure, the transfer fee for Leny Yoro was a bit excessive, but you do what you gotta do when you compete with Real Madrid on the transfer market. And Yoro's future looks extremely bright. The same goes for Zirkzee. Both are young, both are good and fill specific needs. INEOS is also refusing to overpay for their transfer targets. Everton and PSG decided to play hardball with Man United and they just turned the other way and decided to focus on other transfer targets. The United management is trying to trim the squad and they have let some of the underperforming but overpaid players go. They have rightfully decided against resigning Varane and Martial, but they're having a more difficult time finding buyers for Maguire and Casemiro. But this summer has not been all good for Manchester United either. Some of their transfer targets have been questionable. I do not disagree that De Ligt has a potential to be a top centre-back, but it has been 4 years since he has truly taken another decisive step to become elite. He may be yet another player with links to Ten Hag, who is bought for a lot of money and then underperforms. But of course he can also be a fantastic addition if he finally fulfills his potential. The problem is, he's not a sure thing. Manchester United still lacks truly elite players. They've been going in the right direction this summer, but they may need a couple more years before they can lose all the dead weight and properly revolutionize their squad. Almost a decade of blunders on the transfer market is very tough to overturn in just a couple of months. Let me know which other team's summer business interests you and I will make a video on that topic next. I will be running a poll on the community page of Football On Site and make sure to vote there. For now, subscribe to this channel and hit that bell button to get all the football content you need. Take care.